What's going on, y'all? Mike from Dow Designs here. Just wanted to bring you a quick little video today on how I do my maintenance on my new P3. Oh wait, P3s. There's two of them. So, I just got this one in today. This one I have had and I've been using it for a little bit, so it's a little dirty. So today, we're gonna go ahead and clean it. Stay tuned. All right, so I just wanted to go over, before we dive into the cleaning process, I wanted to just go over some things I like to have on hand when I'm doing my cleaning. First thing you're gonna need your little xTool screwdriver. Just always keep that handy. It's gonna help you when we go to remove our lens later, so keep that nearby. The next thing, microfiber cloths. We definitely wanna have some clean ones on hand, and we definitely want some fresh ones. I like to use new ones right out of the pack, especially when I'm wiping any of my mirrors or my lenses. And speaking of mirrors and lenses, I always use Zeiss wipes. When I use my Zeiss wipes, I just wipe it right on the mirror, or the lens, whichever. Get that nice and clean. They're disposable, good to go right after. The last thing, our handy dandy LA Awesome. I use this to wipe down all my rails, the outside of my sheen, make sure there's no smudges, wipe down a laser bed, all that. So, go ahead and get your materials ready, and we'll go ahead and jump into this now. All right, so first thing I do is I start with my air compressor. I turn that air compressor on. I got a little nozzle to blow out, all my vents and stuff and get everything kind of moving and all that dust moving and free. Now, I would like to mention that I do always kick my exhaust fan on high. You're gonna wanna turn that IF2 on so it could suck up all that stuff and kind of exhaust it outside. Next thing, I just go around and I blow all around. I blow a little bit on the gantry belt, around the bed, around those belts on the side. Just get everything kind of moving in there. And what you'll notice is your IF2 should suck most of that up. So you're not going to get a ton of dust all over, but you do want to do this before you clean your mirrors and your lens because you don't want to kick up anything and get dust all over your freshly cleaned lens and your freshly cleaned mirrors. All right, so next thing I do is I just take some cleaner. I got some LA Awesome in that bottle. I just spray a little bit on the rag, and I just like to give everything a good little wipe down. I mainly do like the outside. I'll do the rails, like the gantry rail. I'll do the front cover there just because it's nice and white. I do the little side rails, that little spot in the back. Just basically just get a lot of that dust and debris. I also like to do the frame that holds my slats, especially with those circles there. That's what it uses to measure, and it uses those concentric circles to go ahead and line things up. So I like to make sure those are really nice and clean. Once I got all that done, now it's time to go ahead and empty that crumb tray. So to empty that crumb tray, we're gonna have to go ahead and turn our machine on, and we're gonna go ahead, especially if this is our first time doing it, because you're gonna have two screws there. So you're gonna go ahead and lower that tray down to 0. And I'm gonna show you, there's two screws, one there, and you're just gonna take that out. And then there's gonna be one in the exact same spot on the other side. That's what's holding in your tray. So then once you get that one out, you'll see it. It should just slide right out for you. Nice and easy. Just like that. And you're just gonna go ahead and dump that right in your trash can. And after you get that thrown out, you're just gonna slide your tray right back in there. There's a little slot for it. It should just slide right in there really nicely. There you go. When you actually get it fully pushed in, you should hear that beep if your machine is on. That tells you your tray is fully seated and you're good to go. I choose not to reinstall those screws. That's a personal preference thing. But after I go ahead and just raise the tray up a little bit and we're ready to move on. We're going to want to make sure to turn our machine off because we're going to want to move that gantry and our laser head around. I'm going to pop that cover off there. Now, I want to point out this mirror because you really want to make sure that one's a little tight when you go to reinstall it, because if not, you'll get some funky results. You can ask me how I know. When I got my machine, I was getting funky results, and that was the reason. So we're going to start by just taking that mirror off right there. You can see it's a nice gold shiny mirror. It screws right in. And then we're going to take our Zeiss wipes and we're going to go ahead and just give it a little wipe down, make sure it's nice and clean. Obviously, this P3 is pretty new, so it's not super dirty as it is, but either way, just give it a little wipe down with your with your lens wipe. And then I like to go and hit it with a very clean and fresh microfiber cloth. So that leaves my mirrors nice and shiny. And as you can see, we're good to go right there. So we're gonna go ahead and just reinstall that. And like I said, we're gonna make sure this is nice and tight. You don't have to like crank on it, but just make sure it's a good thumb screw, like good finger tight. Next thing we're gonna move is our other protector. So this is like our mirror shield, I guess. I think that's what they're calling it on their website. So all we're gonna do is unscrew this here, and we're gonna go ahead and do the same process. This has this little retention ring in there. I don't like to use a tool if I can help it. So I usually just take my thumbnail or my fingernail and go ahead and get that ring moving. And then once I get it a little loose, I just use my thumb and finger and just kind of twist it out. Now, once you get this off, you'll notice this white washer underneath there. Now, the order that it goes in is lens, white washer, then that metal ring. So keep that in mind. So you can see I'm dumping out my lens and that white washer right here on that lens wipe. And I'm going to give it a nice little cleaning here. And once we have that clean, we're going to go ahead and, give it our little dry off. I like to hit it, like I said, with that microfiber cloth after. Just get it all nice and polished up. Now, this is what's going to protect that mirror that's under there from getting all that dust when you're doing that engraving. So that's why they put this cover on here. This one is not a focusing lens. There is a focusing lens that we'll get to that right in the next step. So keep that in mind. So we're going to go ahead and reinstall this. We're going to set this in our housing, and then we're going to put our white washer, and then we're going to just put our locking ring back in. You can see I just shake it right in there. Then our white washer, and then we go ahead and put our locking ring back in, tighten it down. And again, I just use it finger tight because I want to go ahead and next time I need to go clean it, just be able to use my thumb to keep that, to pop that ring right out. Once you're done, just go ahead and reinstall that. You're going to install that right back into laser head, just right where you found it, right there. So go ahead and get that reinstalled. All right, nice and tight, we're good to go. Our next step is going to be our focusing lens. Now, as you can see, I have the medium focusing lens in here. It's held in by 2 screws. I'm gonna go ahead and use that xTool screwdriver that we got and pop those 2 screws out and set those right aside. Now, there is a medium and a large lens and lens holder also, so keep that in mind. If yours doesn't have the M on it, that's probably the reason. You may have swapped it out. But as far as I'm aware, all the machines come stock with that medium lens. We're gonna go ahead and get ourselves a nice clean lens wipe for this one. And again, my machine's not terribly dirty because it is a new machine. But same thing as that shielding on the top part of the housing. We're just gonna take that little ring out. I'm gonna go ahead and dump out that washer and our focusing lens. Now, I'm going to use my nice clean wipe and give that a good little wipe down. Now, one thing that's very important about your focusing lens here is that the focusing lens itself is directional. Now, the way I like to remember it and know that I have it installed correctly is when you're looking down on that lens, you should be able to see your reflection. You can kind of see my reflection with the camera right inside when you look at that lens. There you go. You can see my big noggin right there. So we're going to install that face up. So we're going to slide that in there and then put our white washer and then go ahead and do that, that black retention ring. Now, don't ever forget to not install that, or don't ever forget to install that washer. I mean, that'd be really bad because you can scratch your lens and damage your lens that way. So go ahead and get that, nice finger tight. Slide that back into the correct slot, and then go ahead and insert those 2 screws, and you'll be good to go, ready to move on to our final piece of this puzzle here. Now we just got to go ahead and tighten those 2 screws. And then we're good. Now, all we have left to do is our two other mirrors. Now, these will not get as dirty as your other mirrors or your main mirror as well as your lens, but it's still worth checking out. To do this, you just pop off that little cover on the side. You can see these are held in magnetically. There's a little tab there, so we're just gonna pop that off. There is absolutely nothing on this mirror, so I'm not going to wipe it and clean it, but we're just gonna go ahead and reinstall that one. It's gonna snap right in there. It shouldn't move. I go ahead and bump it a little bit to make sure it stays stable. Next, we're just gonna pop our cover back on there. And from that point, we're ready to move on to our third mirror. All right, so to access our third mirror, there's this little access port. They were really awesome about putting this in. So now it's really easy to get to your third mirror. So as you can see here, our mirror is gonna be right down there. It's gonna be held in the same way with those magnets. We're just gonna slide that out, just like that. And this one surprisingly did have a little bit of debris on it. So I am gonna go ahead and give that a cleaning. You can see those little silver magnets on the side. Those are what's gonna hold that mirror in place. And that little notch on the bottom is what's gonna help you slide it in. Again, we're just gonna take our Zeiss wipe, give this a nice little wipe down. And as you can see, all we're gonna do is give it that quick little swipe, and then wipe it off with our microfiber towel. There we go. And as you can see, all perfectly clean. Now we're just gonna slide that right back in, making sure that notch is down. Try not to bump your mirror on anything because you don't want to scratch it, but it should just kind of snap right back in place. You can see it's locked in there, and now we're good to go. Well, I hope you found this video informative today, and now you're ready to go ahead and do the maintenance on your new P3. So this is the routine maintenance that I do. I like to go ahead and make sure it's done. I usually do it every couple days, depending on how many jobs I'm doing. Well, if you found this video informative and you want to learn more, maybe follow some more tutorials that I'm going to be putting out on the channel, make sure you go ahead and like and subscribe, and we'll see you next time. Mike from Dow Designs, out.